Hello, basketball world. This is 3BetterThan2 podcast, and we're back in action today with Jacki. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, I'm a occupational therapy student at Midwestern University. I've been working with Full Package since 2021 around. Um, I played for Full Package when I was in high school, and I wanted to come back, and now I'm here.
Yeah, tell us about your memorable players that you play with.
Um, let's see. Christy Kalis, played with her for a little bit. Um, uh, Played with Tia. I can't remember her last name. And Rona Gashi,
Okay,
remember her. And I went to Niles West High School. Jewel Lloyd was there a few years before I was, so was cool to like kind of see.
yeah, so you got a little bit of watching her play too.
Yeah. I remember watching some of her games when I was in middle school.
Yeah, how did you fell in love with basketball?
Actually, Jules' brother Jared. I trained with him growing up, starting in like 4th grade or 5th grade,
Mhm.
and he kind of made me fall in love with basketball.
That's pretty cool. He still trains. They live in Minnesota now. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember going to his going away party like a
Oh,
while
nice.
ago when I was in high school. But yeah, I've known Jared since I was a little kid.
Got you. So the first tradition we always ask our guests to talk about what movie character or cartoon character that you kind of recognize as, or so we can understand you better.
Mm. I think Kim Possible. She was a spy
Hmm.
from Disney Channel.
Yeah,
I was always told I looked like her growing up because she's one of the only characters with like red hair.
got you.
But I liked that show growing up. She was cool. She had like gadgets and stuff.
Got you. All right, so you got gadgets when you coach.
There's only two options. It was Kim Possible or Ariel growing up, so she had to choose one.
I had to
Oh
choose.
yeah, I got you. Right. So tell us, because you coach on the boys' side,
Mhm.
and now it became kind of cool thing, a trend, but you did it where you probably was, if I think about it, you're the only one around in the coaches travel basketball, um, a woman who coaches boys. What do you think? How did that happen? Or, it's interesting. It was always interesting to me because right away you kind of chose that path.
Mhm.
And tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. I would say, I got a text from Steve in like 2021, maybe end of 2020, and he said that you guys were looking for help on the boys' side, um, which like kind of surprised me because Steve is always talking about the girls' side of
Mhm.
Full Package. So it was interesting to hear that you guys were looking for someone on the boys' side, and all my experience coaching has been with girls. I coached girls feeder basketball, and then I did coach 5th grade boys feeder basketball. So that was kind of like my intro to coaching boys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really didn't have much experience coaching boys before starting at Full Package.
I just always thought he had a really good connection with boys, and
Mhm.
I feel like you were, like a tough enough and a straightforward enough for them to recognize that.
Mhm.
And like you have been coaching since 2nd grade to
Yeah.
maybe freshman high school, and I feel like you have a respect from boys to listen to you, which is interesting sometimes. I
Mhm.
just I never understand the dynamic yet. But tell us about that. Why do you think you got that respect from boys to be coachable?
I think a lot of it has to do with like my personality. Um, I try to coach from a standpoint of like how I would want to be coached. Um, I I try to not be like that like dictator role of coaching. I try to do it from a standpoint of like I understand where you're coming from,
Mhm.
but I have experience in this, and like you should listen to what I'm saying.
Right.
And I think a lot of like young boys really respect that, because they feel like they're a participant in the conversation, and it's not me just telling them what to do.
Right. So you build relationship first,
Yeah,
and through that.
that's really important to me when I'm coaching a team. Is I want my team to feel like they can trust me with anything.
Yeah.
When you were making the transition from coaching girls to boys, what was the biggest difference you saw, and what areas did you need to grow the quickest to coach boys?
I think so. There is like a big difference in coaching girls and boys from like my experience. I think when I started coaching boys, I realized I could be a lot tougher, which I think blended with my personality a lot
Okay.
better, because I think I'm a very direct person. And when I was coaching girls, I had to kind of not sugarcoat things,
Notch it down a little bit.
but I had to take it down a little bit because I would get angry emails from parents saying I yelled at their daughter.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference, is just my approach is a little bit different. It's more direct, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a different approach, and with girls, I always felt it's more individualized and more,
Mhm.
How to make them feel good about team and themselves to kind of
Yeah.
compete. Where boys, you just kind of rile them up and maybe even push some buttons to kind of get going, right? So
Yeah, that's probably the biggest difference I've seen too, is I think I can use a lot more humor when I coach with boys than I can when I was coaching girls, because I did coach girls a little bit on
Yeah.
the full package side.
Huh.
And I found that like my humor didn't really resonate with the girls side as much as it did with the boys. I don't know, maybe my
that's
jokes
fair.
were bad, but
Yeah, maybe just the wrong time.
yeah, it
Maybe
was a tough crowd over there.
yeah, right. It comes out sarcastic or something. I don't know.
I
But
don't know.
again, I always thought that you connected really well. I mean, there's been always positive feedback, with your coaching and your approach. So, I'm always happy about that. What is your mission when it comes to coaching?
First, it's to build a relationship. I think that's the most important thing when you're leading a team, is to just have a relationship with the people that are on your team, like coaching staff included. And I think like full package, we do a really good job about like keeping in touch with each other.
Yeah.
And trying to get together outside of practices and stuff.
Right.
But that's like my first mission, is to build relationships with the kids. But then my second mission is to ask them what they want to get better at and try and target that as much as possible. Because I think I think kids are smarter than we realize, and asking kids what they want to work on or what skills they want to hone in on is important.
Right.
Because if it's meaningful to them, then it's meaningful to me.
I agree. I always thought that to collect the feedback is very important. Vital to development. I also know I recently heard this, that really good players would always find a way to work on what they want. So as a coach, you have to work on things that they don't want to work on. So I feel like there's a balance there, but I feel like a feedback is a really good approach to just to understand what players want. That's a pretty good point that you're making. Got it. All right. Well, maybe let's talk about this, since we're talking about the development, right? How do you approach like that question that's always been asked, development versus winning, right? So how does that, like, what do you do? When do you push and pull, and how do you approach that?
Yeah, I think that was a conversation I had to kind of have with myself last season, spring season. Like we did like lose a lot. And I think it had nothing to do with how talented the kids were, because we did have talented kids, but I think a lot of it had to do with like mindset going into games. And I think like the kids and me thought like, oh, like we're so for sure gonna win this game. and then we'd lose.
Mhm.
So it's like having to tell the kids that like losing is a part of basketball and is a part of sports in general. Like you have to learn how to lose.
Right.
And I think losing is an important skill to have when working with like a developmental age. And I think that was a conversation I had to have with like a lot of the kids and a lot of the parents who like might not have understood that philosophy of like development and losing and
Right.
or winning. Like winning is important, but so is losing.
We always kind of say that there is a player development, there's a team development too. You know, like you lose by a lot, you lose by a little, you stay in a close games. You know, you might lose some close games, then you start winning close games, and then you win by a lot. And it's just the transformation of the team per se versus just player development too. So I feel like some grades where we might not have a lot of talent or size is a younger age, where if you're a big fifth grader, you can cover a lot of gaps, right? So then it takes time. It takes time to develop. And you're right. It might not be one season, but in a bigger picture, it's very important to take those losses, right? Just to encourage kids, to encourage parents, like, hey, that's okay to go through that. How do you move on faster? How do you recover faster? What do you do after? Do you work on those gaps? You know, so I feel like you did a really good job of that assessment and pivoting and just, you know, realizing that and moving on.
Yeah, we kind of had to tailor a lot of like the practice plans
Yep.
a lot of the time after big losses like that. Just because it was like the kids did have a hard time with it, and a lot of the kids were like, well, what's the point if we're just gonna lose next weekend? What's the
Right.
point? We had multiple conversations with the kids after practices like that lasted 10-15 minutes, just about like the importance of going through something like that and why you have to in order to become a better basketball player or person in general, because like it builds mental toughness.
True.
Yeah, I know that our good friend Titus was running kind of your job before you, and you know he did a really good job with the younger kids. And even if you went through some of his practices, he had a lot of like quirky little things that the kids just kind of loved. And then when you took over and he, you know, left us and made the weird named AU team that he has, you know, we thought there was going to be a drop off, but honestly, it just keeps on growing, and that's just a testament to you. What are some things that Titus taught you and that you still steal from him today that helps you continue to grow our youth boys program?
Yeah, I would say the stance. Titus taught us it's like a little catchphrase that we do with the kids just to get their attention. So I'd still do that for the younger kids. I think it works better with the younger kids, but yeah, I say that a lot and just gets their attention and they're ready to listen.
So for people who don't know, when coach says stance, all the kids, no matter what they're doing, just kind of have to drop into stance and like a triple threat, right?
Yeah, so if the kid's holding the basketball, he'll get in a triple threat, and if you're not holding basketball, you just get into a defensive stance.
So
and you scream ready.
Right. It gets quiet and they pay attention. It's like a attention getter.
Yeah, I think that's something I've stolen from Titus, and I still use primarily with like the 2nd through 5th graders.
Yeah. Since you've been coaching for the last 4 or 5 years, do you remember what is your most memorable transformation of the players that maybe went through?
Yeah, Gavin Egner.
Yes,
Omelet. Excellent
Mr.
Omelet. I remember meeting him when he was in like 4th or 5th grade. And he's going to freshman year of high school now. So I've kind of seen him grow up. He's like one of the kids that I really remember. And I remember one of the first games I coached of his, he was in 5th grade. He jacked up, I think, like 23s during that whole game. And he made about like 6 of them. So he had a really good game that day. And that was like one of my first memories of Gavin. And now he's a freshman going into freshman high school, and he's really grown into a really like overall all around player, and just like he's a really great leader. He's just a great kid.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool to see that. And just to see his growth from just a player to a leader.
hmm
And now with that grade, he's like one of the main guys. You know,
Yeah,
who
like
leads the group.
he's our guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great leader.
What is I know you play with them sometimes. Like, when is the last time you played?
It's been a little while just because I injured my shoulder.
That's right, playing with them last time.
I know. I think the last time I played was probably beginning of the summer. And just playing with those guys is fun because I can kind of see things from their point of view and what they might be seeing. And they just have a good time when they play, and they communicate really well. Like last time I played against AJ from our 8th grade group, and AJ is like 6 something now. He's really tall. And I hit a 3 like right in his face. It was just a good time. It was really funny.
Yeah, I feel like it's important. And I always suggest to coaches to play until you can know more, especially with your players, and just set an example and lead by example, so when you demand something, they saw you doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's very important, that dynamic.
Yeah.
That it's only way you can do that by playing with them.
And I think like seeing things from how they might see it on the court, especially because I'm their height.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you blend in pretty well.
I
with
blend
that
in pretty
5th,
well.
6th, 7th grade group.
Yeah, I blend in pretty well over there.
Is there a specific class that you enjoy coaching the most in that, 2nd through 8th grade? Not specifically just because of the players, but you see them mature at a certain time, or what's like your favorite age group to coach?
I think like 5th or 6th grade, because that's kind of when like the turnaround happens between like they're just playing for fun and playing like because they really like basketball. So I think like 5th or 6th grade, and you see a lot of development happen in that time period, like growth and like maturity sometimes.
I feel like it's a very important age too. Like you said, the jump shot change, like the athleticism comes in. Now all of a sudden, kids who might not be as skilled but a little bit more physical or a little bit more aggressive take over. But you're right, like that's the age where it's pure love for basketball.
Yeah.
When parents bring you, but you love to go in the gym. So when later you kind of filter out kids who's there for different reasons.
Yeah, and in that age group, we have a lot of kids that I just think love basketball, which makes it really easy to coach them because they're here because they love it and they want to get better at it.
Yeah. With that being said, when we talk about Titus, what are the coaches that maybe influence you the most and just get an impact on you, or maybe you're learning from somebody?
I think when I watch college basketball, I love how Dawn Staley coaches. I think she's a great coach. So I would love to be a coach like her someday. And I try and model some things that she does. I think Doug Bruno is also a really good coach for women's basketball. I think he'd be great at coaching men's basketball too. I just think he's a great coach. He's very smart.
Are there anything you taken from them, or maybe you read their book or watch video, or you're just learning from watching games?
When I was a kid, I went to Doug Bruno's basketball camp. And a lot of his like philosophy I still use, just like love for the game. Because if you don't love what you're doing, you're not gonna be very good at it, and you're not gonna grow.
Yeah. If you have a chance to assist somebody, what are throw some names that you would be around, maybe from high school too?
I think I would love to go back to like the CSL conference, and I think I would love to coach at Glenbrook South. My dad knew one of the I don't know if he was the assistant or head coach of the GBS girls basketball team at one point, and just his philosophy was great. He really cared about his players, which is something like I think was missing in that conference. So I would love to coach there alongside him, like just back in
Yeah,
that moment. I
that's
think he
pretty
was a
cool.
great coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some things that you do that actually emulate Dawn Staley is she's a really like players first coach, like gets to know all the kids and just really has their back and lets them kind of play their own game. And I kind of see that a lot on the youth boys side, that you guys are really like just in it with the kids in every single game and really good fighting with them all the time.
Yeah, she's definitely someone I also would like to coach alongside, just because I think I do take some things from her, like maybe unconsciously that I didn't even know about.
Yeah,
honestly.
that's fair. You growing up, did you play other sports?
I did. Growing up, I played softball, baseball. I played soccer. I did martial arts. And then in college, I played rugby. And
I don't think I knew that. Did you know that?
I don't know.
Ouch.
Yeah, ouch.
Well, do you think there's something you can learn from other sports? And if you do, what can you?
Yeah, I think everyone should play multiple sports for as long as they can. I mean, like even now, I try new things all the time.
Yeah.
Like I joined kickboxing like last year, and it's really fun. I knew nothing about it going into it, but it's taught me a lot just about like pushing through things, discipline. So I think everyone should play multiple sports because you can learn a lot from like the philosophy of other sports. Like I think baseball teaches kids about patience. Like you're not getting the ball in your hands all the time, so you have to wait for your moment.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I agree with you about that kids should be playing multiple sports, and the more research come that actually kids successful in other sports other than main sports when they're younger. So
Yeah, I think it also prevents burnout too.
Yeah.
Like if basketball is your main sport, at least try something that
Yeah.
maybe you're not good at, and then you won't get burnt out. Basketball.
I wish a lot of coaches would not hold on to their players and actually let them play other sports and stuff. I feel like nowadays it just people get specialized so early, and they think that if you're 9-year-old, you just have to play baseball every season or train, or if you basketball, you have to play travel 4 seasons in a row, and it just create overuse of your body the same way, and mental just scars you. Like you just get burned out, like you said. What do you think? How would you fix that? Because recently, a lot of people kind of bashing AAU and travel basketball, and we are living in it. What do you think are important things maybe to fix it or correct it? Do you have any ideas?
Honestly, like a lot of that stuff starts like at home, like from parents and like family members encouraging kids to try new things. Like not just things that you're good at. Because you won't grow if you're only good at that one thing. So if you branch out and you try something that maybe you're not good at, you'll learn from that experience. Like even if you stink at it, like you'll learn from that. So I think that's like a way, but a lot of that is just philosophy, and I think more people would be open to that idea if they knew like the benefits of it, and I don't think a lot of people do.
Oh, what's one of your favorite games you remember that you coached in that full package?
One of the games I remember, this was like 2023. It was a castle tournament. It was our 6th graders at the time, maybe 7th graders, and Gavin Agner was on that team. And we only had 5 guys, so I was riding no subs that day. We were getting full court pressed both games. We had won the first game by 1, and then the second game, we're down like 15 with like 3 minutes left, and we come back and we win by 2. Just because like those kids did not quit.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
That was
Gavin led the charge on that. Actually, he hit a 3 to like get us going, and he went on like
for
a
Omelet.
I know omelet. He had like
that was
6-0
excellent.
run, 6-0 run by himself, and other coach called a timeout, and we started pressing them, and we got a lot of stops. So it was cool.
Since with that, can you describe a perfect basketball for you? What is that?
Like a game?
Yeah, just perfect game, perfect basketball. What is that for you?
Oh, I think just like every kid doing their best and trying their hardest. Even if we lose, like if you show me effort, that's all I can ask.
Yeah.
Like I tell the kids all the time, I don't make me coach your effort. As long as you're trying, then I can coach you.
Yeah, let us coach basketball part. Yeah. All right. So since we talk about that a little bit, and you kind of talk about different sports, are there any advice you would give to players or parents coming in? Because, like you said, a lot of times it's come from home or the car rides. What your advice would be to make the experience better and make them keep love basketball?
Let your kid make mistakes, because that's how they're gonna learn. I think a lot of parents are afraid that if their kid makes a mistake, that they're gonna get pulled out of the game. But like with us, that's not a problem. Like
Yeah.
we don't care about mistakes. So let your kid make mistakes, because that's how they're gonna learn and grow as a basketball player and a person. Life isn't
Yeah.
perfect, so.
What about players? What would you suggest or advise to players coming in? Let's say it's a new person trying full package.
Mhm.
What would be your biggest or the first suggestion you would give?
Introduce yourself to somebody you don't know. Especially if you came here with friends. Because a lot of kids will come like with their friends and they'll bring new people. But a lot of the time they like to just stick with the person that they came here with. Just naturally, and that's fine. But I think like introduce yourself to somebody you don't know and ask at least one question about their life. Find something new about them.
Yeah, that's good advice to build a relationship right from the get-go.
If you look back and you had one player like describe you as a coach, what are some things you hope they would say about you as a coach?
Understanding, tough, and fun.
Every day is a fun day.
Friday fun day every day.
Fun day. So, all right, let's go that topic then. What do you think is a good coach, and what does that mean to you?
I think a good coach and honestly a good leader is just a human. Like they're a person. They make mistakes, but they own up to those mistakes, and they can fix them and kind of say like what went wrong. And I think just being like empathetic and understanding to like other people's lives around you, because everyone has a different experience, and you can learn from like the other people around you.
We joke at the summer league with one of the NBA guys that they should have a stat for like a coaching turnover, right? Like let's say you come out of timeout and then you write a play and it was bad or didn't work out, or you came in the zone and they score right away. So, and I feel like a lot of coaches afraid to take that accountability and just own out to their mistakes because, like you said, we're never perfect. And hey, it's my bad sub or bad play call, or hey, bad practice. I didn't prepare you to this.
Yeah.
So I feel like that makes you like you said, it makes you human, you know, and it connects you with players better, right? Because you point out their mistakes all the time, and all of a sudden, what you're always right, and
Yeah.
that just doesn't happen.
Yeah,
And I believe that you're doing a great job with that. Just the owning out to your mistakes, and even with parents, you know, like we're not always perfect, and we might make a mistake with a player here and there, right? Or putting them in the wrong team, or not encouraging them enough, or maybe, you know, too harsh, and it's not their personality and it doesn't match. So I love that you always take that feedback. You don't get sensitive, or it doesn't hurt your feelings. You're just moving on, and you know that's part of the coaching, and I feel like you're doing a great job with that.
Thank you.
Another thing that you do for the boys' side is you handle a lot of the logistics, scheduling, making teams, helping out with all that. What in your past led you to be, you know, really good at all this, and how do you handle all the parents' emails?
You know, I've been in leadership positions before. I was an assistant camp director at Lifetime Fitness for a little bit. So I kind of took some of those skills, but a lot of it I kind of just figured out and learned by doing. I figured out what worked and what didn't work. Just in terms of trying to get coaches to come coach. Sometimes we have difficulty just trying to coordinate coaches' schedules with game schedules. So I kind of just like trial by error.
Yeah.
A lot of error, but
A lot of trial.
a lot of trial. But I think I figured out a system that works pretty good.
Yeah, it's been great. That's, you know, for me, it was ease up on just stepping back a little bit and just concentrate on a bigger program thing over logistics. You did a great job with that. What do you study now? Maybe something new, or what do you try to learn right now to apply, you know, to your coaching?
So in September, I'm going to be working on a acute care setting as an occupational therapist, like just training. And that's like not my comfort zone whatsoever. I don't like hospitals. I don't like needles. I don't like really any of that stuff. So this is like way out of my comfort zone, but like correlating it to coaching, I think like stepping out of my comfort zone when it comes to coaching isn't really important. Like maybe it's coaching a grade I haven't coached in a while before, or coaching a skill that like I haven't coached a ton before, I think is important. And also getting back into the swing of playing, because I haven't done that in a while. So
I feel like it's interesting because while you were coaching, your career path changed, you know, and if I'm not mistaken, you would try to be a lawyer at some point, right? And then you like went far with that. And then what made you change your mind, or what happened that you decided to kind of switch it up?
Yeah. Honestly, so I took the LSAT twice. And each time I took it, I was 1 point away from like the score I really wanted and needed to like move forward with it. And I kind of just like took a step back and reflected on like, is this really what I want to do for a living? Because my end goal was to help people with disabilities, whether or not it was like on the law side or like the clinical side. And I knew about occupational therapy before, because that's what I thought I was going to be doing until I decided to be a lawyer, and then I kind of went back to it. But yeah, my end goal.
You went back to the original path.
Yes, my end goal was to help people with disabilities on some level. And I think like going back to like the coaching side of it, like I've taken a lot from like learning about OT and coaching, because like OT, like we really focus on like what's meaningful to people, and we work on that. And I think that's a good approach to have when you are coaching.
Are there any books on that that you think basketball players or coaches would be interesting to read and imply into the basketball coaching?
About coaching or about
Well, do you think you can apply something? Like you said, you are applying something from occupational therapy
Mhm.
to the coaching. Do you think there's a literature that people can read that they can may apply into basketball?
Yeah, 1,000%. And this might not even just be basketball, it might just be like life. There's a book called Where is the Mango Princess? It's an autobiography written by a woman who whose husband was in a boat accident and he got a TBI from that. He had a traumatic brain injury from that, and it was just about like his journey and the effect that had on their family. So I think that's a really good book for people to read, just to understand. I think understanding disability is important just in all aspects of life, because everybody is different
Yeah.
and everybody's ability is not going to be the same. And I think that's an important lesson for kids to have too. Just accepting that someone's not going to do something that you might do that way, but they might do it a different way, and it's okay.
Yeah. What do you think, since you would youth basketball mostly, do you think any new thing coming to basketball or coaching that we're not talking about, or what do you think maybe drastic changes coming in? What are your thoughts about that?
Like in terms of like coaching styles,
Yeah, coaching
or
styles, or maybe the shot clock is coming in a year in Illinois,
yeah.
but in the youth basketball, I don't know if it's ever happening. But do you think there are some things that are maybe coming that we don't know, and you can kind of see it because you're more in that level and kind of within the things?
I think having kind of thinking about shot clock, I think that could be in addition to youth basketball.
Yeah.
At some tournaments. I've seen it happen, like just watching clips online of youth basketball. I've seen shot clocks on
Well, in
certain
in Europe,
tournaments.
it's 24 seconds, no
Yeah,
matter
and I
how
think
old they.
that's an important thing to add. Because a lot of the times, like some teams are just holding the ball for minutes and minutes on end,
All right.
and like to their credit, they're milking the clock as much as they can. But I think an important skill to have just in life is time management, and I think putting that in youth sports, that'll make it easier for kids to learn that.
I love that you are. I never thought of it that way. That's interesting that you put time management as a life skill and a part of the shot clock. That's a fork in action, but I really like it. I never thought that way. It's pretty cool.
Do you think they should wait? You know how they wait to get the 29.5 basketball? Do you think they should wait till an older, what is it, 6th grade, 7th grade, where you start using 29?
I think
Would that be the-
Wisconsin is 6 still. They play in 28, and then in Illinois it's 6 is 29.
6 is 29. Should we wait for them to get the shot clock and just still let the younger kids just get used to things? Or
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think having the shot clock start at 6th grade is probably a good transition anyway, because like they are switching what size ball to use. So then they gotta get used to managing time and managing the clock a lot better, which is also a new skill. And I think at certain points you do have to let kids figure it out.
Yeah.
And doing that without a shot clock is more helpful, I think.
Yeah. How do you manage progress since, let's say, you're not coaching school basketball, and honestly, the record or the championships are not, not that important. It's not a part of the thing. So how would you measure your progress of your season, and what is successful season for you?
I think just like the kids' experience, like did they have fun? Did they learn something?
Mhm.
Do they think they got better? And that just kind of goes back to building relationships with the kids and talking to them toward like the end of the season about like what's one skill you learned this season, and what can we continue to work on for next season. Yeah, I think that's important.
So you would take it on a like individual level. What about for team? What is a successful season for a team? What would you say?
I think like did they build relationships with each other, and do they feel competent in their skills as a team? And I don't know exactly how to measure that, but I think that's just like having
Yeah.
conversations with your team.
Yeah. I feel like you can see too when teams connected well, and you can see it right away. Like it's hard to measure. You say it's an intangible thing, but you see teams that are connected. You see teams that play like each other versus team they don't, and one might beat another, but at what cost? You know, at what experience? So,
I think your 17U team is a good like testament to that. You know, you guys won a lot, but I think like you can tell, like based off of stuff I've seen, I can tell that they all genuinely like each other and get along outside of.
Yeah, we talk about it's very rare on 17U level that just so much pressure from everywhere coming to them. So, you know, credit to those guys.
I was really surprised that you didn't say that it was determined by how many Instagram posts you have been in, how many medals. But I think that's because Mark Umoff has now been in Instagram posts.
I think
I
he took that title from me. He might be the most winningest coach now. You know,
Get over.
You know, yeah, they do call me the most winningest coach with full package.
Right. That's she got this whole bag of medals here that we're looking at. We don't want to show it to embarrass anybody.
Yeah, I don't want to brag. So,
tell us this, and then with mental aspect too. You know, the higher level you go, the more mental games become. What would be your suggestions to players, parents, to coaches to keep that up?
Take care of your body. I think what you put in your body matters. More so when you get older. And being like physically in shape is gonna help the mental, because if you're not physically in shape, chances are you're gonna not perform as well, and that's not gonna make you feel too good. So I think definitely like taking care of your body, and then I would say like taking care of your mind too, just with like mindfulness. I think that's a really good skill for young adults and like young kids to learn, just how to calm down when things get hard.
Give us example. What are your suggestions would be? Like, is it a breathing, meditation, detachment? Like, what's the?
Yeah, it's like a meditation kind of exercise, and like breathing. A lot of the times, this is just something I do before I'm doing something like kind of stressful. I will like close my eyes and I take 2 like inhales in and 1 big inhale out, and it kind of like resets your nervous system. So I think doing more research into like how that can help athletes mentally would be really important for parents and all of them to know.
Yeah, I recently found out about box breathing, but I guess I knew the technique before from like the military stuff. But yeah, it helps. Like you said, it's your nervous system and parasympathetic system that, you know, resets, so you can kind of cheat around it to calm yourself down. That's a good suggestion. What about do you ever get nervous before coaching? And if you do, or worried, and if you do, what are the reasons?
I think I definitely got more nervous when I started coaching. I think now I kind of am like, all right, like it's all good, like we're
Right,
fine.
right.
But I think like at first, I definitely was nervous because I'm like, oh, what if the kids don't like me, or like what if I get an angry parent like coming up to me after the game. But I think like before, when I was feeling nervous, it was I would kind of do that. It's called double inhale breathing. I would do that and kind of just like hyping myself up. Like I gotta help myself.
Right.
Just telling myself like, you'll be good. Like it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Like especially at younger ages, like the kids need to have fun at the end of the day.
I feel a lot of young coaches put pressure on themselves to like, if you are not a good coach, if you are not winning. And I feel like that's not true, especially in the long run. Like you might not win in the 4th grade because some team goes on and have a big kid who just stick under the basket. But in the long run, like where do all those kids end up? And so if you are about development, like how can you develop those guys? Because in the long run, you're going to end up winning. And I feel like a lot of young coaches making that mistake, and because they're taking season by season, and I feel like that kind of messes up a little bit, like the whole AAU and travel area and school stuff, where people would start playing zone in the ages, and you got to make shots when you play zone. So, or like people full court press in the 4th grade, you got 5 fast kids who are a little bit more mature, and then they just blow everybody out, but they don't know how to play basketball. So then in the 2 years, they lose everything, or they just, they're not there anymore. Or a big kid who was big in the 5th grade, all of a sudden same size in the 8th grade. And now what? And it's a disservice. I feel like that a lot of coaches do. What would you do that? So like with the youth, like would you create some rules, or where maybe like you can't play zone, or do you think that helps for the tournament's sake, for the development sake?
Some tournaments we do play, they don't allow zone, but a lot of them leave it up to like the coaches that are playing at that time. So I think, yes, kids have to learn how to play against the zone, but they also have to learn how to play basketball. And it's hard to learn how to play basketball if you're trying to figure out how to get around a 2-3 zone or a 1-3-1 zone at 4th or 5th grade. So yeah, I think implementing some kind of rule about zone defense, maybe like you can only play it in the last 5 minutes of the game, or you can only play it if you're down by 15 points or whatever.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of not playing zones, but the girls side plays on one of the top circuits, and I was watching the 15U championship game, and it was just a 2-3 zone versus a 2-3 zone playing on a college court, and you don't have girls that are necessarily shooting college threes at 15 years old yet. So then it was kind of just like a slow it down, okay, end of shot clock, bad shot situation. And even at the 17U level, there was started the game was 2-3 versus 2-3. So it is a factor where you have to learn how to break it at some time. But I think, especially with the shot clock coming, I think we're going to see a lot more zone. So teaching kids at early age to break zones and honestly shoot from deeper than, what coaches really allow, and just let them start shooting deeper threes and get stronger.
Would you change anything in the system and how it sets right now? Again, like a lot of ex-players and a lot of people kind of start talking about like European versus American, and look how European players succeeded in games versus training. But a lot of them haven't been in Europe and don't know exactly what's going on. So, and I always say like, hey, we had to find those games. In the summer we would go 3-on-3 outside. In the winter we would go play pickups at night, or go into grown man and play with grown man, or just there's a sports schools that have few games a week. There's your own high school have a 1-2 games a week. So when they say like Europeans don't play games, that's not true. They just might not play official games with their club,
Mm-hmm.
but they always find games. And I'm a believer that let the game teach,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm a believer of like a principle of a busy playground where if it's a busy playground, right? If you lose, you out. You have to wait for a long time. So you got to
Mhm.
learn how to win, and you got to learn how to win. You got to play through your best players. You got to play defense. You got to make right decisions. You want to be picked up. You got to be, you hustle, a pass first, or talk on defense and so on. So I do believe that the principle of a busy playground teach you how to play.
Mhm.
However, a lot of kids get kind of fell off because they might not be aggressive or confident. So, what do you think, the system wise? How can we fix? It's broken for sure, right?
Mhm.
And the European system is on a little other spectrum. But again, the players that coming in NBA and national teams, you can see the progress happening, right? So, are there any suggestion how to fix the system, or what can we do as a coaches to impact the
Mhm.
system and make it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah, I think trying to find a middle ground between that like European model and our model in the US, it might be a good start. And I think like something that I appreciate Full Package does is when we play like our scrimmage games, is sometimes we use those FIBA rules. And I think it gets kids used to like a different style and speed of play that they're not used to because
Yeah.
of our model here in the US. Um, and but then they get used to it and then they play at a higher level once they start getting used to those rules because they are different. But I think definitely some restructuring needs to happen of
Yeah.
like maybe taking some of those rules from that European model and like mixing them with our rules now.
So, for example, in 12U and younger in Europe, they don't have a 3-point line, and it's the 3 seconds is a little like bigger. It's gonna trapezoid, and then everything outside of that is a 3. So then it changes a little bit, right? So then it's harder to play zones too.
Mm.
Um,
Is the shape different?
yeah, the shape is a little bigger. So instead of the rectangle, it's like a
Mm.
trapezoid.
Mm.
So it changes a little bit, but it helps to kind of break that. You don't need to shoot like you said, NBA threes in a 12U or 11U. Also, like last 2 years, I went to Lithuania, and then they play. It's called Spain rules, or Spanish rules, and it's 6 quarters. You cannot sub in a quarter. So let's say you got 15 people roster.
Mhm.
Whoever you put in a quarter, unless they get injured, they have to play this whole quarter until last quarter.
I kind of like that.
So then you got to figure out. You cannot sub somebody who's struggling.
Mhm.
So then they have to figure out. So for fifth quarters, you cannot sub anyone, and then it's a strategic too for a coach's point of view, right? If you put all
Mhm.
5 weakest players, it's over.
Mm.
So then, but right before the game, you usually figure out the rotations because there's some rules. I don't think they can play more than 4 quarters out of 6. So then your best players have to sit out some of the quarters. So again, that makes coaching a little different, but still a lot involved just to roster building.
Yeah, I think it's more technical.
Yeah, exactly. So then there's some, they all play shot clock too, and it was just interesting how you can be up by 20, and all of a sudden, like the 5 you put in was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and now the other 5 beat you, and now you all of a sudden you tie game, and it goes back and forth, and then in the last quarter you kind of playing like a real game where you sub, or also there's only 2 timeouts in the whole game, so they have to coach either through, or how we always complain, like 3 timeouts is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 2 with 6 quarters. So there's some things that I think that we can maybe take and do that. But yeah, what are other things you would think?
Yeah, I think that definitely makes coaching a lot more technical and skilled, and I think sometimes that lacks like here in the US. Especially like I think a lot of coaches care more about like the best player on the team instead of like how can we strengthen the unit so it's not just one player. I think that philosophy kind of needs to change here because that's kind of what it sounds like from that Lithuanian Spanish model where it's like you have to really think about your lineup and you really do have to develop the whole team if you want to have a good team.
And the thing is, if you don't prepare them, it's over.
Yeah.
Like if they're not coming in, it's hard to coach on the fly because you cannot take those timeouts because you probably want to save them to later. But you're right, it becomes the preparation become violent, and then just the roster changes becomes important too.
Yeah, I also feel like in youth basketball, Europeans and Americans are probably playing the similar amount of games per week or everything, but European youth kids are searching for the right games where they're being pushed, they're being challenged, they're playing against older people because they feel like that's an honor to play with older people. Where American youth sports are so about winning. So you want to be comfortable in winning instead of like the whole long time journey. What do you guys think about that?
That's a great point. You're right. Let's just take a picture with a medal and cup, and then you got some 7th grader playing in the 6th grade division.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, by accident, we were on the both end of those. So, but I feel like we usually adjust if we see that the team that we are playing, like really below the competition, we would just notch it down and work on something new and make sure we're playing players who maybe are weaker and like rest our
work,
right. So not a lot of people do that. Like they would just press, and if they can win by 60, they will.
So how do you? So I know one fall I had my 8th grade group playing in like the varsity high school division, just because in the fall not all top varsity kids play, but also I thought that group was really good. How do you get the right games to improve the kids throughout the whole journey of playing with us?
Kind of just like you said, challenging them where it makes sense. Like that seems like it makes sense for that 8th grade group.
I feel like the team that losing by a lot getting out of the games more than the teams are winning. So if you overshot it with the competition wise, I feel like the players get better just to competing, as long as they're like soul not crushed, right? In the 8th grade, if you got elite players, it would probably hard to crush their soul. So then like if you sign them up with 17U and all of a sudden the other team is crushing them, it's like, all right, this is what we want to be, right? Like this is, if they press us and we cannot break it, keep pressing. Like again, I would rather be on that side of the losing by a lot and just figure it out versus winning by a lot. It doesn't make your team better, unless you serving other team and the coach understand that and like, hey, keep doing this, or I'm okay, like throw some in there that makes us better. So I would say you would rather overshot it with a competition than underdo it.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. We had a 6th grade team in the fall last year who like was pretty good. So like we had them play up 8th grade and it worked for them. They beat some teams, but some teams beat them and they learned a lot from it. Which I think some of them didn't understand why they were playing 8th graders, which I think also goes back to that cultural difference that you said, Dylan, about America versus Europeans. Like Europeans, like they want to play that older group and they want that challenge, but in America, it's like, how can we win?
Because last year, I don't know if you remember, that 7th grade really struggled. Was it a fall? I want to say fall.
Yeah.
And remember, like we had that one kid quit because he was like, oh, we're losing all the time by a lot. And then, but they were all kind of shielded through their experience. They all were shielded from the real competition. They would play those park districts and in-house and but they all want to be high school players. So we told them like, hey, this is who you guys competing against. This is your competition in a year. So it's better start doing it now than you go in tryouts and realize that you can't make a team A or B. So then slowly we just start. We lost a lot of games. I remember I coached them a few times too, and it was tough. It was tough to explain them like, hey, we have to play here. We cannot play lower because you already passed that. We cannot shield you no more. Like this is it. This is competition.
You can't play sixth graders
right
as a seventh
This is
grader.
a competition. We cannot do this no more to shield you guys and win games and and be happy about it. Like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. So I remember we had one kid quit because of that, and eventually, like I remember last 2 tournaments of that fall, they actually won the games, and then one tournament they won 2 games and ended up winning tournament, which was like we couldn't believe that, right?
Yeah,
at the beginning
it
of the
took them
season.
the whole season,
Right,
but like they got there eventually, and that was really hard for the kids to kind of see like the light at the end of the tunnel of like, oh, I understand. Like now I knew why I have to lose those games in order to see like where I need to be.
Right. But now they're gonna make high school basketball A or B, So then again, I felt like not everybody understand that, and that's I think the mistake that people will make. All right. What about anything like we not talking about that's maybe important when it comes to basketball and youth basketball and development?
I think like the mental side of youth sports kind of gets overlooked a lot of the time. I think full package, like I think we do a good job of trying to see the mental components of sports in general and like the benefit that has on kids. And I think like there is a difference between the kids that did sports growing up and don't. Because like those kids that did sports growing up, like they end up having good time management skills. They end up being able to handle adversity better. They end up being able to work in a team better. They end up being able to do group work eventually. And I think all that mental component stuff doesn't really get talked about because like in America, like Dylan said, in America, we're so focused on like winning those medals, winning that tournament, winning that championship, when basketball and sports in general just have such a great push for kids mentally. And they learn so many skills from doing sports. Even if it's something they're not good at, like that's important to have.
That's a great point. Give me an example maybe that kids who did play sport or team sport versus not, where they can be successful.
Just like my own personal experience playing sports growing up has helped me be able to work in a group. There's a lot of group work in high school and college and graduate level education, so learning how to work in a group is just an important skill. Like everyone does things a little bit differently and you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with change and adversity and dealing with that. You have to deal with a loss, you have to deal with a bad grade or whatever, and you
just be resilient.
You learn resilience, you learn how to push through. And I think that's a skill a lot of kids need to have.
With a lot of information now and easy access to information, how do you not over-inform players, or how you not over-coach players? What are your suggestions or maybe rules on that? Because again, with youth sports, any kid can pull up ball handling drills, and it will be millions of videos, or how to be a better finisher, and it will be millions of videos. How do you don't get overwhelmed with information, and how to have that line that like Coach Dylan mentioned, you're doing a great job of let the kids be free and figure out what's right and what's wrong while coaching them through.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your suggestion?
Just something I do when we're doing like in-house or even at practices. We do like controlled scrimmage. So yes, like they're free to experiment and try new things and make mistakes. But when those mistakes impact the game and like the other people around them, that's like when you step in and you say like, hey, like this is what I'm seeing. Try doing it differently. Try going left instead of right.
Mhm.
We have a lot of kids that love to go right. They don't go left. But yeah, just like trying to find that balance between letting them make mistakes and then stepping in when those mistakes start to affect everyone else.
Okay. What do you think about like long games versus short games or full court versus half court games?
I definitely prefer when we do our controlled scrimmages to do full court games. I just think it lets the kids, number one, run around, and number two, like it lets them
Get the wiggles out.
Yeah, like especially those third and fourth graders. But yeah, lets them run around, lets them like figure out how much energy to use
Mhm.
running up and down. So like then they figure out, oh,
Learning pacing.
I can't sprint up and down the court every time. I'm gonna get tired.
Okay.
Yeah, it lets them figure out like their body a little bit more. And I think it coaches them for like what a real game will be like. But I do think half court does have its advantages. Like it's smaller, so you have to figure spacing out a lot better.
All right.
So
What's a token that every Jacki team does? Like, if you describe a team that you coach, what do they all do really well? Like during a game, like, oh, we're playing Jacki. These teams gonna do this.
Yeah, I think every team I coach is pretty encouraging. Like they love each other, they hype each other up. You know, like every team I coach, like we're gonna play hard defense, and if you're not playing hard defense, you're probably gonna have a seat next to me, unless I don't have a sub. But,
They're all going left.
yeah,
Everyone's going left.
and everyone's gonna go
Lefties.
left. Also, I've taken this from your book, Meech, forcing them left.
Yeah,
You know,
you know it.
yep, force them left. That's pretty much like my philosophy is play hard defense, force them left,
That's fair.
encourage each other.
Well, yeah, you're doing a great job. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to mention?
I don't think so. I talked about like the mental health side of stuff, and you know, sports are a great way to like release that anxiety or like hard feelings that like kids might have, and I think parents need to like consider that when putting their kids in sports is like, is this going to help them mentally?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. And for some kids, especially after COVID, where a relationship is broken and the communication is not there, like we might be the only time they talking to somebody, or they come up after school and then outside of teacher asking them questions, they might not talk all day, you know, and then it's all of a sudden, you know, we start all our practices with talking and discussing a topic or something. So it's maybe that's the first time they to actually express their feelings, and it's a getaway for them, you know, that gym, when you forget about problems outside of the court, right? And just concentrate on that with your teammates. So I feel like you said, the mental part of sport is very important and overlooked. What do you most belong, you think?
Honestly, like I've found like a home at Full Package. Like I genuinely love all the coaches that are around. I think we have great banter with each other. You know, we genuinely care about each other. So like I've definitely felt like a sense of belonging here. And like when I do get a job in the future as an occupational therapist, I'm definitely going to take those concepts like into the future and like any team that I'm on in the future.
I feel like it's cool to see when we have like a lot of teams in one place in the tournaments, and then we everybody joke how we have an NBA coaching bench where we had all the coaches and even players from different teams just hanging out on the bench. Like a 7th grader will be on a 16U bench sitting down, and then 7 coaches who don't have a game at that time
we're all just sitting there.
So I always, it warms my heart when I see that.
We all show up for each other.
Talking about other coaches, shout out Coach Chase, just got engaged this weekend.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Congrats. So last we had the tradition that the last person on the podcast left you a question, and then we'll ask you to ask questions for the next guest. So Coach Billy Welcome left you a question.
Not Billy Welcome.
Oh. Coach Billy McCormick left you a question. You're welcome. He said that if you go on a trip anywhere and you got 2 places, 2 people to take with you, who would that be?
Let any people in the
So
world.
you're taking a car trip. He said to Fort Wayne because we were about to go to Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
Why would I go there?
It's terrible.
Yeah. It's just a trip.
But yeah, you'd have 2 passengers. Anyone who you last that long in a car with.
All right. I would say my boyfriend Dylan. He, I would just make him drive. Sorry, Dylan.
The driver.
Sorry, Dylan, you're driving. I would be in charge of music. And then I think I'd bring my friend Kaylee and my friend Lee. I broke the rules, but I'd bring both of them.
They have to be on one seat.
Yeah, they can sit right next to each other.
Right.
Kaylee can sit on Lee's lap. And they're just a good time. So
that's fair. Think of a question to ask next guest.
If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you have and why?
All right. Well, thank you. That was great.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jacki.